Hello. I recently upgraded my computer, and then I worked on upgrading Skyrim to ENB and just making everything a little fancier for myself. And along the way, I ran into a shit ton of problems. So after I've spent many hours reading and figuring everything out and getting everything working just how it should. So I figured I'd share this for anyone out there kind of in the same boat who hopefully I can save you numerous hours, because it's always a good thing to save some hours, learn from other people's mistakes. So first I just want to talk real quick, because most of the time I want to spend talking is actually on Skyrim and like ENBs and making it all work fine. But before I get to that, I just want to say real quick, the biggest mistake I made with my graphics card was actually looking at I was looking at the right here at the Sapphire's website for their specifications on this thing. So I got the Radeon R7 370, and it's got the 4 GB DDR5. It's actually a really nice card. Comes out about 170. So here on the Newegg site, you can see right here it says UEFI video card. But if you go over to Sapphire's site, and we'll do that now, you'll see that Sapphire actually says that they have a switch where you can do legendary and not, which is not the case. So if you come down here, where is it? Sapphire. There it is, dual BIOS, which is actually false. This card is no longer available. So I bought a card thinking it was going to work with my old legacy BIOS only motherboard, and I invested wrongly because instead of reading the Newegg, I read Sapphire's. So I was very unhappy with Sapphire on that, but they did make a good card. It does work fine. So I just got a new motherboard, got that up and running. So now, real quick, just talking about airflow, because when I first got the Sapphire, I switched around my airflow inside my box, thinking that I was making it more efficient, because what I was doing was I was reversing the flow from the bottom backside up and in, and then coming out through the power supply unit and the graphics processor, because and then I closed like holes on the side of the computer. And what I didn't realize what I was doing was I was actually significantly reducing the flow inside of not only the graphics processor but just the computer as a whole. And the reason for that is if you look at the grates right here on this picture, you'll notice that they're horizontal. So if I'm trying to push air in a longitudinal way out, it's actually not going to be pushed out. You need to allow airflow to come out of all sides of the graphics card and then be dissipated throughout your whole computer. So the original setup for my airflow through my computer was better, and so now I have it back through, sucking in through the grates through the side of the computer, and then coming out the power supply unit, the graphics card, and the back of the computer down low. So since I did that, the cooling has been much more efficient with the system. So now moving on to talking about Skyrim. So I just want to talk real quick about how to upgrade to the ENB. And what I'm going to do for you guys, I'm going to provide links to all the things I'm talking about, so that way you guys can access this really easily. And on top of that, I'm going to probably make a little Skyrim Nexus page with my INI files on it, so that way you don't have to worry about it. Quick word to say though, before you start taking my INI files, is make sure that you want to run with my settings, number one, and number two, you have a very similar system where you have 4 GB DDR5 graphics card, as well as 8 GB of RAM on an i3 Intel processor. So it is a little specific. If you don't have that, you might be better off just listening and then kind of adjusting things to just fit your system. So, very, very first thing I always do is make Skyrim Vanilla again. So here, this is the stepproject.com, and I've used this just to double check everything that I'm deleting, make sure that I'm doing it right, I'm not getting rid of things unnecessarily. And then, of course, you go back into your Steam, and then you just right-click, Properties, Local Files, Verify Integrity of Game Cache, and what I'll do is I'll check your files, and anything that's you accidentally deleted or whatnot will be reinstalled. But I always try not to delete things that are still that are fine, so that way I don't spend a bunch of time downloading. So after you get that going on, then we're gonna move on to talking real quick about installing your reinstalling everything. And so just when you're reinstalling, the number one concern and thing to watch out for is overwrites of files. So let's say you have the Skyrim Mesh SSME, that one where he changes everything, and then you also have an armor mod that changes vanilla things like vanilla armors and whatnot. So you need to be thoughtful about, okay, which mesh do I want to keep in this situation? Which one do I want to let go? So in that particular case, you'd want the armor mods to overwrite the SSME files. And so in that case, for that particular mod, you would allow it to overwrite that mod. And there is a button when you're downloading and it comes to like overwrite problems. It'll ask you like yes to all, or yes to mod, or no to all, and no to mod. And so whenever I'm doing it, I'd never press no to all or yes to all. It's just bad habit. You're gonna get yourself into trouble. Just do no to mod, because you might come on later where that same mod has a mesh for like a house or something, and you're like, I don't want a changed house or whatever, so I'm gonna keep SSME. And so then in that case, then now you would overwrite for that one or whatever it is. So I think that's a good example of needing to be vigilant about which files are being overwritten during your installation. And this can make things much cleaner just on its own. Less problems. End up with a game that you expect to look how it's gonna look. And so now let's move on a little further to that. Is going to be test 5 edit. So test 5 edit, I'm going to get out of here. We're going to go right here. After you've done an installation of all of your regular stuff that you want in the game, you can't play without, right? Then it's time to do test 5 edit, and there's a lot of information on test 5 edit. But basically what you're doing is you load up all the ESPs that you're going to play with. You load them up, and then test 5 edit will you right click it, and it'll allow you to apply filter for cleaning. And then basically everything that has any color on it, unless it's plain just white and then black writing, so even if it has like green or something that seems like, oh, it's like all right or whatnot, anything that has color on it, you're going to right click it, you're going to delete the files that are exactly the same as the master files, and then you're also going to delete any of those nav mesh problems. So for each file you do that, and it's a little cumbersome, right? Because it takes a little while to go down the list, but you end up with a significantly smoother game that basically isn't having any problems where you have one ESP that's, or like a script that's looking for a particular item but has sadly been overwritten because your game wasn't cleaned properly. And then when that happens, you have something like that, then you have a failure, which can usually lead to your game crashing, because Skyrim is actually relatively, it's just kind of a weak, finicky program, really, when you think about it, because it just drops like that really fast. So If you're crashing for no reason, it could very well be because Test 5 Edit needs to clean things out, especially the DLCs, if you can believe it. Dawnguard and Dragonborn are extremely dirty, and they need to be cleaned. And I think Dawnguard needs to be cleaned twice. You have to clean it, save it, exit out of Test 5 Edit, reopen Test 5 Edit, apply filter for cleaning, and then clean it again. And then and only then will it be clean. So then, after we get all of that stuff set up how we want to, then what I do next is I configure my ini files. And so I have, where is it? Skyrim Configurator right here. And so Skyrim Configurator is awesome because it allows you to see more clearly, like, oh, I want to edit this, or oh, I don't want to edit this. So I like to do that as kind of like my basis. So right here, I have it already installed. Go over here, Skyrim Configurator, graphics, screen. There's the resolution that I want. Turn off anti-aliasing if you're going to use a ENB, FX, AA, turn it off. Radial blur off. I don't need it. I don't like it. Depth of field on, yes. VSync on, yes. Gamma, this is going to be important for ENB later on. So go ahead and put that to 1.24. Just makes life a little brighter. Field of view, you don't have to change this one. I like it at 75. I feel like the vision's a little wider, a little more realistic. Graphics, so then we're going to go to HUD, show all subtitles, show all this. Textures, filtering off, texture quality high, max particles 750, right? There's all this stuff. And I'll make all my ini files for you guys available for you guys, so that way if you are like, man, I don't feel like sitting down and editing all this stuff, then you can just take mine. But most of these are default ultra settings anyways. Like all these are default ultra settings. I didn't touch these. Lighting, shadow quality custom. I do low. I get rid of my shadows, enable shadows off. That's the only one I have on is LODs. Everything else turned off. Sunbeams on. I like sunbeams. Lastly, we got water. I don't have it draw reflection. I feel like it doesn't add anything visibly to my game. And then, of course, these guys are on. Water sampling, I have it low. I don't really care that much. Water's not the most important thing to me. Controls, this I left the same. If you want, you can turn off the mouse acceleration. A lot of people have mouse lag in the game, and that's how you'd get rid of that. We have the game launcher. I always turn off the Bethesda intro. It annoys me. Save games. This one, I found that we actually have to go into the ini files to fix this. And so I'll go ahead and, well, actually, the real way I had to do it was go into the game and fix it there. But you definitely want to turn off your autosaves. Every single time you autosave and you have a lot going on in your game, like an ENB and stuff like that, it's either going to take excruciatingly long or it's going to crash. So the number one biggest thing I did to help make my game much faster, work better, was just simply turning off autosaves. Because whatever's going on, they're running some kind of scripting or some kind of executable that just bogs your freaking computer down to nothing. If you save manually, it takes like 10 seconds, if that. And then when you autosave, like coming out of a building or whatnot, 5 minutes, no joke. It's absolutely crazy. So in game, you guys can fix that if you want, or you can just take my ini files. So after you get your ini files configured the way you want them to, nice and specifically, then we're going to move on to installing the actual ENB. So I go over to the ENB website. Again, I'm going to provide that. And now the real careful thing is don't start a download over here. I don't even know, like, I guess this is just update notes. But this is actually not, like, where we want to go. So what I do is I click download over here. It's going to bring up this. Down at the bottom, it has all the different graphic modifications for the different games that they've done. So I'm going to be going down here and clicking Test Skyrim. And
That's going to bring up all this stuff. It's going to tell you about different versions, all this stuff. We don't worry about that. We just click right here. 305. So that's the newest version. And then download. Cool thing about the way I'm telling you guys is the way I'm doing it, it's not going to change. If they make another update or if they do anything different, the methods for this isn't going to change. Whereas like if you're using like Real Vision or Climate Material or whatever you're using, they get outdated because the settings that they're using, they kind of get changed. So just click on that download. There you go. It's right here at the bottom, not this one up on the top. Okay. So after you download your that ENB, you're gonna go ahead and install it. Me personally, I installed the wrapper version. Has a little more going on with it. So the other one's kind of like a watered down, not as intense version. The only thing really to know about the injector is that you just got to start it before you play the game. So this one's kind of like already up and running versus this one has some kind of code in it that initiates the program once you initiate Skyrim as well, which is kind of cool. So after you get your wrapper installed, then what I like to do is kind of hijack Real Vision settings, and not all of them. So initially what I do is I go over here, go to Real Vision files, and I download manually, and I get their files. But all I'm going to do right here, oops, that's not the one I want. This one, auto installer. So right here, I'm going to go right here. I get the main files. You're going to take those, put them all in your folder. And then I go over to option B, performance. Okay, and I'll explain what option B does. And I take these and I drop them in there as well. Okay, so option B, if you read on the website, is actually for ELFX, which I had already installed before I even tried to have an ENB. So for me, it was kind of a no-brainer. Yep, do A and B. If you want to do a different method or whatever, go ahead and look to see what Real Vision has going on. Sometimes they he's got like Climate Material or whatever. And so if you want to go a different direction, go ahead and go that different direction. But for me, that's what I want to do. I don't have any other overhaul things going on. Just the ELFX, which Real Vision doesn't want you to do. Like I'm supposed to have Climate Material in there. But I'm just like, I don't really care about it, number one. And number two, I care more about my computer's performance rather than lagging it down with all that crap. So for me, I left it alone. And that is okay to do, but you just have to realize, number one, that things are going to look different. So we got to make some adjustments. And again, I'm going to put my INI files for these things available to people. So let's go down to my folder. And let's go ahead and take a look at my Skyrim ENB. We'll go ahead and do ENB local right now. So this is mostly like my performance settings right here. And so like speed hack with graphics, you're going to want this false. If you turn it to true, ENB will turn off on you. Things like that. This is one that you want to keep the same as the Real Vision ENB. Don't change that, and that's why I installed the way I did. So after I get the Real Vision ENB installed, now I'm going to go and I'm going to edit these, okay, to make them fit my computer. So now memory, expand system memory. That's performance. Reduce system memory usage. Good. So right here, disable driver memory manager. I install this because I have an AMD graphics card, and they said on the step right here, explanation, where is it? ENB boost, that this was a fix for some AMD cards, not all, some. And so what it was I was watching the performance monitor that you can get and install, and basically my video card kept taking on more memory than it was letting go of, and so I needed to do this for my AMD card and allow my AMD card to handle it itself. Then we go down to reserved memory size. Please make it 256, if not more, but 256 is pretty good. And now your video memory size. So I have 4 gigs, so that's going to be 496 minus what was it, 350, or so 4096 minus 350, and so I came out to 3714. So that's how you do that. If you not running Windows 10 like I am, then I think you only subtract 150 off. But really, just make sure that you're not overdoing this number, because make sure it's like reasonably close to what your real thing is. So like if you only have 2 gigs and you're putting like 3,700 in there, like it's just not going to be good. You want it to be relatively close to what your video card is. And then I enable compression to help save a little bit of space, and then auto detect memory size false because it always does it wrong. Threads, want these to be like that. Windows, you can mess with this, but I don't. I have in the past, but I don't currently. Engine, if you want, you can turn these to be lower, save a little bit of space, but for now it's working fine. VSync, true. All right. Limiter, I've tried to use this and it doesn't work, so I just put them as false, because like I'll try to limit it to 40 and it'll still go up to 60. So I'm like, okay, it's just doing what it's gonna do. Anti-aliasing, right there. Next, couple fixes in there. Don't worry about that, because those are going to be mainly things that Real Vision ENB is using, so you don't want to mess with those. And so that's it from this ENB local. And again, I'll make mine available to people. And really, if you're doing everything my way, then pretty much the only things you should worry about is going to be the video memory, the reserved memory, and then also the where is it? This one, disabled driver. You can turn that one to false if you don't have my card. But you have the same, like let's say you have 4 gigs or something, you could use the 3714 and then just turn that to false if you still had the 4 gig thing going on. All right, so next we're going to be looking at the ENB series. There's a lot going on in here, and if you want, you can test things out in game and see like, okay, like what's going on. But there are a couple things right off the bat that I realized were problematic because of how I installed things that I wanted to fix. So the first one is this enable depth of field. For whatever reason, this is really strange in the game. So what I do is I turn this to false, because what happens is if you get relatively close to any object, it becomes crazy blurry, and you don't even have to be that far away. And I was like, I don't like this. It looks terrible. So I dug around for a little while and figured out that it was this variable that was affecting that. Next, we're going to go down. Adaption's fine. Bloom's fine. Lens I don't worry about. I'm looking for... Here we go. The lighting. Okay. We want these to all be 1. Okay. Every time... Oh, not sunrise, actually. Sunrise, go ahead. Leave that 0.7. Because that's already pretty bright. The day and the sunrise, they're actually pretty freaking bright. So we can go ahead and leave these guys to 1. However, the night and the interiors, they're all really dark. So
I bumped these up because they were like 0.5, 0.2 or whatever. Like they were relatively low. The ambient light was too low for my taste. I need to be able to see at least a little, like a wee little bit. So I turn these all up to 1. Okay, you can turn them up a little bit more, but if you keep going up to probably already about 2, you're gonna start noticing like especially at night that the land is kind of green. Like there's like this greenish hue because that's the ambient light. It's like a greenish hue. So 1 was enough for me. Just as long as I can at least see like the ground in front of me, I'm doing okay. But it was so dark because I didn't install with Clemens Tamriel that you just couldn't see it all. You couldn't see anything at night. So that was terrible. So I fixed that by adjusting these guys right here. Environment, again, we're going to go down to here, ambient lighting, and during the night, you could turn this up a little bit, and you could turn your daytime down a little bit. So that's these guys right here. So mine are all 1. Just kind of keep things consistent. Desaturations and things like that, I don't worry about adjusting those because that's just like the coloration that you have going on. It's not going to really affect like what you're seeing, and so you might as well keep it original to the RioVision ENB creators, like their idea of what things should look like. So then we're going to scroll down. It's going to take a little while to get to depth of field. We've already turned off, so these don't make any, they don't do anything. Let's see. Our shadows are already turned off, so this isn't going to really be affected. Rain. This one's big. Alrighty. Rain is really, really big. Because without Clemens Tamriel, this looks terrible. So we're going to do a couple things. We are going to first make it ignore the weather system false. Enable false. Big one. Enable anti-aliasing. False. Big one. Alright. Super sampling. You can do whatever you want because it's already affected by this one. So you can do what you want with that. Motion stretch. 0. Motion transparency. 0. And that's it. That is all I have. So I'm going to again make these INI files available for you guys. And once we get all that done, I'm going to go and save it. We're ready to go. There's not too much left to do. If you've done your test 5 editing, you're good to go there. And of course, make sure you always have SKSE installed. Get that up and running. So now with Windows 10, close it immediately and then launch it for real that way. So let's go ahead. Let's take a quick look in game. See what we got going on. Load times will increase, unless of course you have a solid state drive. I don't. I'll upgrade it eventually. But for now, it's not the most important thing in my life. Probably what's more important to me is getting a better case, because the current case is stock and the airflow through it could definitely be improved. Alright, come up. There's your ENB. Go ahead and keep your eye on that, especially when you're first booting up. If you've done anything terribly wrong, some red writing will come up and it'll let you know that you've done something terribly wrong. Nothing was terribly wrong for me. So I'm going to go, I always go load. I never go continue. So we're going to load. Character's currently in Dragon's Reach right now. Going to go ahead and load the game up. And for whatever reason, my microphone won't work while I'm in game. But the game popped up relatively quickly. You can stay playing that without really having to worry about crashes for a decent period of time now. You could probably go about 2-3 hours without needing to worry about it. I would still recommend saving every once in a while, you know, at the very least, just in case you die. you guys will now have access to this because I'm going to be putting up in the description all of everything that I used. Obviously, giving credits to where credits are deserved, to the people who made the ENB, to Real Vision ENB creator, things like that. And then I'll be making my NE files available for you guys. Alrighty. Good luck. Have fun.